What's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to share with you the origins of celebrating birthdays. Yeah. It's really hard to talk and play backwards at the same time. Yeah, let's just get into it. There are so many things in our lives that we do without even being consciously aware of why we do these things. For example, some of the habits that we've built up over time, or even traditions. And a lot of these things just come into our lives really early on in our childhood. So we don't actually realize and understand the true meaning of why we do these things. And if we do, we're trusting in people like our parents, teachers, and other people to give us explanations of why we do these things. And they themselves may not even know why, or maybe they just oversimplify it because they assume that we don't understand its full meaning. So in this video, I'm going to explain the origins of why we celebrate birthdays, but also answer 5 very important questions, like why we celebrate them, why we always eat cake at these events, why we blow out candles, why we give gifts, and why we sing the song Happy Birthday to You. Gift giving has been around since the beginning, and cavemen back in the day used to give uniquely shaped rocks or tooths of animals and other natural things to the people that they liked to show love, appreciation, affection, all of those different things. And as they progressed with their tooling and got better with their skills as people, they were able to make more intricate gifts, such as things like necklaces and other objects to give to people. And that's kind of really the very beginning of all of this. The celebration aspect of birthdays can be dated all the way back to ancient Egypt in 3000 BCE. And the people would celebrate the pharaohs dying and transitioning into the afterlife as a god. And they would build idols and pyramids to celebrate and appreciate them into their new afterlife and fill their tombs and whatnot with treasure. Food has always played an important role in celebrations and traditions, and it seems like it was chosen as the ceremonial food of choice because of its association to symbolism in being able to modify its shape, and also because it represented humans' best culinary offerings that they could make. I forgot to mention that you can share it. In ancient Greek and Roman times, they would use these cakes as tributes to their gods to try and win favor over them during certain times, and also to avoid retribution and any form of punishment, because a lot of the things that were going on, they believed that the gods were responsible for doing them. So they wanted to try and make peace with them and win their favor. Even though a lot of early civilizations were developing at this time and using wicked candles, it was often the ancient Greeks who were credited for putting candles on their cakes. And they would do this to pay tribute to their lunar goddess Artemis, where they would bake a round cake and put candles on top and light them up to symbolize the moon's shape and its radiant glow. So before birthdays were a thing with people, pagans would gather around each other on days of major change, which would technically be a birthday, and they believed that a lot of evil spirits and a lot of bad things would happen to them. So they would gather around the person on those days and do things like make noises and burn candles to try and ward off those evil spirits. And this is often where the idea of blowing out candles was associated with making wishes, with a lot of the pagan culture casting spells to try and ward off these evil spirits and these bad omens. So as time progressed, eventually they started taking the idea of celebrating gods and applied it to their own people. And this first originally happened back in ancient Rome, where they would start celebrating the common men in their culture, especially the very famous and well-known people. It wasn't until the 12th century, which was the Middle Ages, where it was actually known for women being recognized for birthday celebrations. And the first instance of this happening was back in Europe. It also seemed to be around the 12th century where children first started getting their birthdays celebrated. And the first instances seem to be in China, where they would practice this ritual, I'm going to butcher it, called Zuozhou, And that's where on their first birthday of the child, relatives would come visit and they would, give gifts and put out objects to kind of see what the child's future would be like, to kind of support them in that way. The next big advancement to birthday celebrations didn't seem to happen until the late 18th century. And this is where Germans would start celebrating the first iteration of what we know now today as a birthday party. They called it Kinderfest, and every year for their children, they would celebrate them being alive. And to symbolize this on a cake, they would put a number of candles based on the child's age. And then the industrial age happened. And this allowed events like Kinderfest to become hugely popular all over the place. It allowed cakes to be mass produced, especially the sugary kinds, where before this point in time, sugary cakes were only available to the wealthy and were considered very luxurious. The same is true for gifts, which being able to mass produce different things and items, it allowed people more options of what they could give people. And even though the intentions never really changed for gifts, uh, being able to give things like experiences and just different types of unique objects changed everything. The last and final thing to put this whole celebration of birthdays together was the song. And the original version of this song, Happy Birthday to You, was actually called Good Morning to All. And it was created by two sisters. They were school teachers, Patty Hill and Mildred J. Hill. And they originally intended the song to be sung at the beginning of class every morning as a starting routine, but eventually, over time, the song transformed and evolved, I guess, to pop culture, and it became what was known as the Happy Birthday to You song, which we now sing every time someone has a birthday cake. And it's intended for them to make them feel special and unique because, I mean, you are singing and putting all the attention onto that one person. So that is the origin of birthdays. The celebration aspect started from the gods, then to the men, then to the women, and then finally to the children. We use cakes because in ancient times it represented our best culinary efforts, and it also had a lot of symbolism that could be associated with it. We blow out candles because of originally superstition, trying to ward off evil and bad omens, but now it's evolved into more of a symbolism for life. Then with gifts, the intentions never really changed. It was always meant to give gifts because of love, appreciation, and to show your affection. But the type of gifts that we are able to give nowadays has dramatically changed due to the industrial age becoming a lot more commercialized and capitalistic. And finally, the song Happy Birthday to You came from two school teachers back in 1893, where they first originally intended it to be sung in classes, but then eventually pop culture evolved it into the song Happy Birthday to You because, I mean, it was fun and it makes people feel special. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. This is actually banana bread. I don't have cake.